Now, before we get started with this video, I want to make it abundantly clear that yes, I am a wholehearted supporter of the practice of nofap. I encourage all men to practice nofap. Stop watching porn. Stop busting nuts to porn. Stop wasting your life force energy. You understand what I'm saying? Number two, I'm also a wholehearted supporter of semen retention. Now, a lot of guys in the game don't have the right definition of semen retention, but that's okay because I have videos where I give the actual definitions of semen retention and the difference between each tier of semen retention. It's levels to this. You know what I'm saying? Right now, only the basic level pertains to this video. You know what I'm saying? But I just wanted to preface this because I know this video is going to have a lot of guys panties in a bunch. I know I might have a lot of negative comments in this video. I know I might have a lot of dislikes on this video as well. You know what I'm saying? But I want to make it abundantly clear. I support nofap. I encourage all men to practice nofap. I encourage guys to practice semen retention as well. You know what I'm saying? But do it with a purpose. That's what this video is going to be all about, man. So just to preface this video, don't think I don't support nofap. Don't think I don't support semen retention. Let's get on with the video. Hey, yo, what up, though, fellas? Back at it again with another video. Because we improving every day. Today, man, we're going to talk about a term that I have officially coined. A term that when you hear other people use it, other content creators use it, know that I started this term. Just like how Professor Rich, shout out to Professor Rich, he coined the term purpose cell. I have a new term for y'all. I have a new term for the manosphere. I have a new term for the nofap community. Retention cells. Semen retention cells. You could also call them nofap cells, but they would be more accurately identified as retention cells. Now, what is a retention cell? We already know what an incel is. An incel is a person who, 9.9 times out of 10 is a guy, a male, who is involuntarily celibate, meaning that he's celibate because he can't get sex. It's not by choice. It's involuntary, right? Now, how does this tie into a retention cell? A retention cell is a guy who you could technically call an incel. He's a guy who you could technically say is involuntarily celibate, right? However, what he does is he may discover nofap or he may discover semen retention. He discovers semen retention, right? And he learns one of the variations of semen retention, which is purposeful celibacy, refraining from sex for a certain amount of time, however long that particular man desires, in order to really hunker down on some goals, some short-term or some mid-term goals, you know what I'm saying? Or if a man, finds himself becoming too addicted to the pleasure of sex, if he wants to refrain and detach himself from that pleasure, you understand what I'm saying? But really the first purpose would be more fitting for this. A man who may purposefully go celibate for a certain amount of time, it could be a week, it could be a month, it could be 2 months, however long that man desires, so that he can hunker down on a particular goal he may have. You know what I'm saying? So that's one variation of semen retention. An incel may an incel may discover this variation of semen retention and then claim to be on semen retention in order to disguise his involuntary celibacy as purposeful celibacy, right? Got tongue tied. Now, A retention cell, a semen retention cell, does also practice no fap. He does also practice no fap. You understand me? He does practice not masturbating to porn. You understand? Or, whether he successfully practices it or he, goes off and on, he go a week relapse or 3 days relapse, whatever. He does actively at least attempt to practice no fap. And so he thinks that because he practices no fap, he can also say he practices semen retention. AKA he thinks that he can say that he's also practicing celibacy when really he's involuntarily celibate. And so this has become a very popular archetype of male on the YouTube space. You know what I'm saying? Guys who will claim to be on semen retention. So that's why they're not talking to women. They hopping on semen retention so that they can focus on their purpose. They use it as an excuse to not get better at their relations with women. Now, of course, like I said, this is not all guys. This is a particular population of guys, but this is not all guys who say they practice semen retention. Of course, there are guys out here who will purposely go celibate for a certain amount of time if that's what they choose to do. You know what I'm saying? Of course, there are guys who are involuntarily celibate practicing no fap, which I highly encourage. You understand me? I highly encourage everyone practice no fap. But the difference is that the retention cell is a guy who is involuntarily celibate, at least within recent history. A retention cell may not even be a virgin. He might not even be a virgin. He might not have had sex in maybe a year, 6 months, 5 months, however long. It's been a long time since he's had sex, right? And so then he discovers semen retention and says, you know what? I can disguise this celibacy. I could disguise this drought. Or, I can disguise me being a virgin by saying that I'm practicing purposeful celibacy. You understand what I'm saying? The problem with this is that it creates delusion. It creates delusion in a lot of guys, because the ironic thing is that a lot of guys who are these retention cells, a lot of these guys are hopping on semen retention to get more women. We always talk about the women attraction benefits. A lot of these guys hop on semen retention specifically just to get more women, but they use it as an excuse to not talk to more women. You know what I'm saying? Because the way they've been taught about no fap and semen retention is just going to bring all the women to their doorstep. It's just going to bring all the women to their feet. They're going to start attracting women and getting choosing signals, and they're not going to have to approach women. Women are just going to walk up to them and approach them and want to throw the buns at them. You understand? That's what they have misinterpreted the benefits of semen retention to be. You get me? So I'm not going to make this video too long. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to close with this. A retention cell. A retention cell. I'm going to read y'all the actual definition that I wrote for this word, because this is a term that I just created. A retention cell. A portmanteau of retention and incel. A person, usually male, who practices no fap but is involuntarily celibate, but falsely claims to practice celibacy for semen retention and use it as an excuse to not talk to women. Person usually retains for extremely long or indefinite amounts of time due to a lack of an abundance of opportunities for sex. This is particularly ironic if said person is retaining in hopes to attract more women. An example in a sentence would be, I'm on semen retention, so I'm not talking to women and only focusing on my purpose. That's guy number one. Guy number two, but you're a retention cell. You weren't talking to women in the first place. So how are you saying that you're not going to talk to women now and just practice semen retention when you weren't getting sex in the first place? You know what I'm saying? You're a retention cell. You get me? That said person, guy number one, didn't talk to women in the first place. But now he has an excuse not to talk to women. Why he isn't talking to women. It's not just because he's afraid, even though that's what it really is. You get me? He really is just afraid, but he doesn't want to admit that to himself. He wants to disguise it as something else. You understand what I'm saying? That's the topic for today, man. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Peace.